He felt this presence enter the room and come to the edge of his bed and sit on it. Felt the pressure. He looked back over his shoulder and it was a woman staring him dead in the face. Hello, my name's Leija. I'm a real-life lawyer and I'm on a mission to demystify the law and how it affects your everyday life. You might be thinking, Leija, what's with the top? To which I would say, rude, but fair. In case you didn't know, it's currently spooky season, so I'm gonna do a get ready with me video that's a little bit spookier than normal. Usually in these videos I cover an important Supreme Court case, but today I'm gonna cover a case that's famous, but for different reasons. This is the case of the haunted house, Stambovsky v. Ackley. Before we get started, I would like to remind you that I'm a lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer. Nothing that I say should be construed as legal advice, and you should always seek the advice of a licensed attorney if you have any legal questions. Let's get into it. Okay, so I'm inspired to do this case partially because I've been inspired lately to want to do more kind of true crime-esque videos on here. So these get ready with me videos. Some Supreme Court stuff because that's important, but also I know a lot of people just want to sit and listen to a story, and true crime's huge and I love true crime. Yes, I watch like all of Bailey Sarian's videos, so I get that like people are doing this, but not from a legal perspective. I also listen to My Favorite Murder once in a while, and I did hear that one of my videos was dropped in the Minneapolis Murderinos Facebook page, and that's when I knew that I made it. Hello to the Murderinos. And so I love My Favorite Murder, and they sometimes will bring on legal people, but for the most part they kind of like brush over the legal aspect, or like, I wish we had a lawyer to tell us, which, I mean, if you still do, I'm available. Someone call Georgia, someone tell Karen. But that's neither here nor there. So comment below if there's some true crime that you'd like me to cover first, and I will jump right in. An influencer literally influenced me to go on Amazon.com and buy this piece of crap, but it's so good. I've just been feeling a little puffy. Now that I've depuffed, let's get into it. So the house in this story is located at 1 Levada Place at a dead-end road in the Hudson River Valley. It's located in a small village called Nyack, New York. If you couldn't tell already, I am a Vassar girl. Vassar is located in the Hudson River Valley, so I know it well. It can get a little spooky in the fall, though it is also beautiful. I don't know if you've heard of the Headless Horseman, Sleepy Hollow. That's in the Hudson River Valley, so it can get spooky, but also beautiful. Like, hauntingly beautiful, you know? Which is coincidentally what they also say about me. I know this isn't how you're supposed to apply shit, but look, I'm not gonna go out and buy a $25 brush when I could do the same thing with my hands, you know? I'm just resourceful like that, okay? So back off. I also said I'm a lawyer and not a makeup artist, okay? Oh, she's goopy. No, she looks great. So the house is this beautiful 5,000 square foot Victorian home. It was built before the turn of the 20th century. It's like the perfect making for a spooky story because it's also haunted as hell. So there's not a ton of information about the history of the house when it was built and stuff, but the Ackleys bought the house in the 1960s and they soon began experiencing some spooky things. The daughter Cynthia would experience shaking at the foot of the bed every morning. Legend has it that one evening she announced to the room that it was spring break, so she didn't have to get up the next morning. And the next morning, there was no shaking. The grandchildren, who I assume were really little babies, would receive gifts from the ghosts. Baby rings would appear and then suddenly disappear. I don't really know what a baby ring is. That's just what the internet kept saying. I don't know if that's like a teething ring or if it's like a literal ring for babies, or if a ring is like an old school term for a pacifier. I think they literally mean like a tiny ring for babies though, which is pretty creepy if you think about it. Say you have a baby and then you walk away from it and then you come back and it's just wearing this tiny like Victorian brass ring that you've never seen before. I just got chills. So there were also reports of people hearing muffled conversations when the house was supposedly empty, hearing slamming of doors and footsteps when no one was supposed to be there. One man reported that in the middle of the night he felt this presence enter the room and come to the edge of his bed and sit on it. Felt the pressure. He looked back over his shoulder and it was a woman staring him dead in the face. There were other little gifts that appeared for family members, like coins and like silver sugar tongs, like things that Victorian people would think would make good gifts would just be appearing throughout the house. So the mother Helen began publicizing these hauntings because like might as well make a quick buck if you're living with a bunch of ghosts. She published a few things in the 70s and 80s in local newspapers and actually got published in Reader's Digest. And the house was added to a haunted walking tour of Nyack, New York, which I would like to go on. So the Ackleys eventually decided that they wanted to move to warmer climates, probably in their retirement, so they decided to move to Florida and sell this house. So they put it on the market for $650,000 in 1989. And this Wall Street bond trader named Jeffrey Stambovsky decided he wanted it. And he made an offer for $33,000 down on the house. Soon after, however, Stambovsky and his wife found out about the haunted history of the house, and especially the wife was really not interested in living in a haunted house, so they wanted to rescind the contract. Obviously, the sellers didn't let him, so they sued. And the ensuing court case has gone down in history as an iconic property law case that tons and tons of law students across the country learn every year in their first year of law school property class. So he sued for rescission of the contract and return of the money that he paid for the down payment. And he sued for money damages for fraudulent misrepresentation against both the realtor and the Ackleys for not disclosing that the house was haunted. So Stambovsky sued, and the lower court, which confusingly in New York, the lower court is called the Supreme Court. I don't know why. So the Supreme Court ruled against Stambovsky because of the strictly held rule in New York and in a lot of other states called caveat emptor, which means buyer beware. Basically, it's the buyer's job to do their due diligence and make sure that the thing that they are buying is what they want to be buying, and you get what you pay for, basically. So the court ruled against him. Obviously, Stambovsky was not thrilled with that outcome, and so he appealed it, which confusingly in New York, he appealed from the Supreme Court's decision up to the Court of Appeals. So Supreme Court, Court of Appeals. I don't know. It's New York. What are you gonna do? They do what they want. And somewhat astoundingly, the Court of Appeals reversed. And they said that Stambovsky could rescind the contract and get his down payment back. However, he could not receive money damages for fraudulent misrepresentation. So this opinion has been criticized and questioned quite a bit. But basically, Judge Rubin is the judge, and his reasoning was caveat emptor in equity only applies to contracts that are fair and open. And Stambovsky would not have been able to ascertain just from a mere inspection of the premises that the house was haunted. So the equitable remedy of rescission was available to him, even though the legal remedy of money damages for fraudulent misrepresentation was not. So what the hell does that mean? Basically, it's this old English concept of law versus equity. They're two separate ideas, but in American law, they've basically been combined in practice, and now they basically just relate to the different types of relief that you can receive in a civil case. So basically what you get if you win a civil case. Legal relief is money damages. It's the court telling another party to pay you for whatever they did to you. Equitable relief, on the other hand, looks to equity. It looks to what is going to be just in this situation. The types of relief you can get are actions, not money. So for example, injunctions, where the court tells a party not to do something, that's equitable relief. Or rescission of a contract, like here, is equitable relief. He's just being put back into the position he was in as if he had never entered the contract to begin with. So contract is rescinded, Stambovsky gets his money back, the parties go their separate ways. That's equitable relief. According to this judge, in equity, caveat emptor is a little bit more flexible. Because if you think about it, in order for someone to ensure that the house they're about to buy isn't haunted, they would have to hold a seance every time they do a walkthrough of a house, you know? So in his mind, it didn't make sense to hold someone to a contract for something that theoretically they couldn't have discovered on their own through due diligence. But then you're like, okay, but this judge believed that there were ghosts in there, and I'm not really sure how we got to this, but he literally ruled that the house was haunted as a matter of law. So there's a house in Nyack, New York that's legally haunted. Throughout the decision, the judge uses a number of eye-rollingly bad puns about ghosts, which I'm just certain is the reason why this random New York State property law case is something that students across the country in law school are learning about, because it's just kind of fun, but a little dumb. So some of his more iconic lines include, "In his pursuit of a legal remedy for fraudulent misrepresentation against the seller, plaintiff hasn't a ghost of a chance. I am nevertheless moved by the spirit of equity to allow the buyer to seek rescission of the contract of sale and recovery of his down payment." He then goes on to quote the ghost from Hamlet. "Pity me not, but lend thy serious hearing to what I shall unfold. William Shakespeare, Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 5, Ghost." And then probably the most iconic line from the case, and the reason why a lot of people call this case the Ghostbusters case. "A very practical problem arises with respect to the discovery of a paranormal phenomenon. Who are you gonna call? As the title song to the movie Ghostbusters asks." Yikes. Oh boy. Let me just do these brows quick. Did I do it? Why do I feel crusty today? Oh God. So then the judge basically kind of sums up his entire decision with the line,
"The notion that a haunting is a condition which can and should be ascertained upon reasonable inspection of the premises is a hobgoblin which should be exorcised from the body of legal precedent and laid quietly to rest."
All right, buddy. Calm down, all right? Okay, that's fine. And so with that, Stambovsky won his court case. He got the contract rescinded and he got his down payment back. So in the years since this court case, the house has gone on to be owned by a number of famous people, actually. So the actor and screenwriter Adam Brooks owned the home for a solid 20 years. And after him, Ingrid Michaelson bought it. She had it for a few years. And then a Jewish songwriter and rapper by the name of Yahoo, sorry if I said that wrong, owns it for a while, none of whom reported experiencing any supernatural activity at all. And coincidentally, the home went back on the market this year. And the pictures honestly are stunning. I mean, mostly they just look like a really beautifully modernized Victorian home. So I will say this room and this room, definitely haunted. And according to Zillow, the house is still for sale. It's been listed on the website for 395 days. And sometimes Zillow isn't the most up to date, but based on what I can tell, this house is just cursed and continues to be. So that's the story of the haunted house of Nyack, New York, a spooky case for a spooky season. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any other ideas for videos you'd like me to make, please comment down below. Hit that thumbs up if you found this video informational or entertaining, and hit subscribe if you want to hear more from me. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to vote. Happy spooky season. Goodbye!